Today's passage takes us deeper into Jacob's journey of obedience, tension, and trust. We'll be reading from Genesis 31 minutes and 19 seconds to 33 minutes and 17 seconds, where Jacob secretly departs from Laban, is pursued and confronted, and eventually prepares to meet Esau, the brother he once deceived. Along the way, Jacob has a powerful encounter with God that forever changes his name and his future. These verses are filled with confrontation, reconciliation, and transformation. It's a story of facing the past, walking in obedience, and receiving a new identity from God. Let's read now from the King James Version, KJV. Genesis 31 minutes and 19 seconds to 33 minutes and 17 seconds, KJV. And Laban went to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the images that were, and Jacob stole away unawares to Laban the Syrian, in that he told him not that he fled. So he fled with all that he had. And he rose up and passed over the river and set his face toward the Mount Gilead. And it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob was fled. And he took his brethren with him and pursued after him 7 days' journey. And they overtook him in the Mount Gilead. And God came to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night, and said unto him, Take heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. Then Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mount, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the mount of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, What hast thou done, that thou hast stolen away unawares to me, and carried away my daughters, as captives taken with the sword? Wherefore didst thou flee away secretly, and steal away from me, and didst not tell me, that I might have sent thee away with mirth, and with songs, with tabret, and with harp? And hast not suffered me to kiss my sons and my daughters? Thou hast now done foolishly in so doing. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt. But the God of your fathers spake unto me yesternight, saying, Take thou heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. And now, though thou wouldest needs be gone, because thou sore longest after thy father's house, yet wherefore hast thou stolen my gods? And Jacob answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid. For I said, Peradventure thou wouldest take by force thy daughters from me. With whomsoever thou findest thy gods, let him not live. Before our brethren discern thou what is thine with me, and take it to thee. For Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them. And Laban went into Jacob's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the 2 maidservants' tents. But he found them not. Then went he out of Leah's tent, and entered into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the images, and put them in the camel's furniture, and sat upon them. And Laban searched all the tent, but found them not. And she said to her father, Let it not displease my lord, that I cannot rise up before thee, for the custom of women is upon me. And he searched, but found not the images. And Jacob was wroth, and showed with Laban. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, What is my trespass? What is my sin, that thou hast so hotly pursued after me? Whereas thou hast searched all my stuff, what hast thou found of all thy household stuff? Set it here before my brethren and thy brethren, that they may judge betwixt us both. This 20 years have I been with thee. Thy ewes and thy she-goats have not cast their young, and the rams of thy flock have I not eaten. That which was torn of beasts I brought not unto thee. I bear the loss of it. Of my hand didst thou require it, whether stolen by day or Thus I was. In the day the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep departed from mine eyes. Thus have I been 20 years in thy house. I served thee 14 years for thy 2 daughters, and 6 years for thy cattle, and thou hast changed my wages 10 times. Except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been with me, surely thou hadst sent me away now empty. God hath seen mine affliction, and the labor of my hands, and rebuked thee yesternight. And Laban answered and said unto Jacob, These daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and these cattle are my cattle, and all that thou seest is mine. And what can I do this day unto these my daughters, or unto their children which they have borne? Now therefore come thou, let us make a covenant, I and thou, and let it be for a witness between me and thee. And Jacob took a stone, and set it up for a pillar. And Jacob said unto his brethren, Gather stones. And they took stones, and made an heap, and they did eat there upon the heap. And Laban called it Jegar-sahaphi, but Jacob called it Galeed. And Laban said, This heap is a witness between me and thee this day. Therefore was the name of it called Galeed, and Mizpah. For he said, The Lord watch between me and thee, when we are absent one from another. If thou shalt afflict my daughters, or if thou shalt take other wives beside my daughters, no man is with us. See, God is witness betwixt me and thee. And Laban said to Jacob, Behold this heap, and behold this pillar, which I have cast betwixt me and thee. This heap be witness, and this pillar be witness, that I will not pass over this heap to thee, and that thou shalt not pass over this heap and this pillar unto me for harm. The God of Abraham, and the God of Nar, the God of their father, judge betwixt us. And Jacob sware by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered sacrifice upon the mount, and called his brethren to eat bread. And they did eat bread, and tarried all night in the mount. And early in the morning Laban rose up, and kissed his sons and his daughters, and blessed them. And Laban departed, and returned unto his place. And Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, This is God's host. And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother, unto the land of the Seir, the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, Thus shall ye speak unto my lord Esau. Thy servant Jacob saith thus, I have sojourned with Laban, and stayed there until now. And I have oxen and asses, flocks and menservants, and women servants. And I have sent to tell my lord, that I may find grace in thy sight. And the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, We came to thy brother Esau, and also he cometh to meet thee, and 400 men with him. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and herds and the camels, into 2 bands, and said, If Esau come to the one company, and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape. And Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord which saidst unto me, Return unto thy country, and to thy kindred, and I will deal well with thee. I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies, and of all the truth, which thou hast showed unto thy servant. For with my staff I passed over this Jordan, and now I am become. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau. For I fear him, lest he will come and smite me, and the mother with the children. And thou saidst, I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. And he lodged there that same night, and took of that which came to his hand a present for Esau his brother, 200 she-goats, and 20 he-goats, 200 ewes, and 20 rams, 30 milk camels with their colts, 40 kine, and 10 bulls, 20 she-asses, and 10. And he delivered them into the hand of his servants, every drove by themselves, and said unto his servants, Pass over before me, and put a space betwixt drove and drove. And he commanded the foremost, saying, When Esau my brother meeteth thee, and asketh thee, saying, Whose art thou? And whither goest thou? And whose are these before thee? Then thou shalt say, They be thy servant Jacob's. It is a present sent unto my lord Esau, and behold, also he is behind us. And so commanded he the second and the third, and all that followed the droves, saying, On this manner shall ye speak unto Esau when ye find him. And say ye moreover, Behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us. For he said, I will appease him with the present that goeth before me, and afterward I will see his face. Peradventure he will accept of me. So went the present over before him, and himself lodged that night in the company. And he rose up that night, and took his 2 wives, and his 2 women servants, and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford Jabbok. And he took them, and sent them over the brook, and sent over that he had. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him, and said, Tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, Wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. And as he passed over Peniel, the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh, unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh in the sinew that shrank. And Jacob lifted up his eyes, and looked, and behold, Esau came, and with him 400 men. And he divided the children unto Leah, and unto Rachel, and unto the 2 handmaids. And he put the handmaids and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph hindermost. And he passed over before them, and bowed himself to the ground 7 times, until he came near to his brother. And Esau ran to meet him, and embraced him, and fell on his neck, and kissed him. And they wept. And he lifted up his eyes, and saw the women and the children, and said, Who are those with thee? And he said, The children which God hath graciously given thy servant. Then the handmaidens came near, they and their children, and they bowed themselves. And Leah also with her children came near, and bowed themselves. And after came Joseph near, and Rachel, and they bowed themselves. And he said, What meanest thou by all this drove which I met? And he said, These are to find grace in the sight of my Lord. And Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep that thou hast unto thyself. And Jacob said, Nay, I pray thee, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then receive my present at my hand. For therefore I have seen thy face, as though I had seen the face of God, and thou wast pleased with me. Take, I pray thee, my blessing that is brought to thee, because God hath dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. And he urged him, and he took it. And he said, Let us take our journey, and let us go, and I will go before thee. And he said unto him, My Lord knoweth that the children are tender, and the flocks and herds with young are with me. And if men should overdrive them one day, all the flock will die. Let my Lord, I pray thee, pass over before his servant, and I will lead on softly, according as the cattle that goeth before me, and the children be able to endure, until I come unto my Lord unto Seir. And Esau said, Let me now leave with thee some of the folk that are with me. And he said, What needeth it? Let me find grace in the sight of my Lord. So Esau returned that day on his way unto Seir. And Jacob journeyed to Succoth, and built him an house, and made booths for his cattle. Therefore the name of the place is called Sukkot. This passage is one of the most emotionally charged and spiritually rich in all of Genesis. It reveals a man facing his past, his fears, his enemies, and even God himself. Jacob's life is full of conflict, yet through it all, God proves that he never leaves, never forgets, and never stops transforming. Jacob flees Laban, unaware that Rachel secretly steals household idols. Laban chases them down, but God warns him in a dream not to harm Jacob. After confrontation, they make a peace covenant and part ways. As Jacob prepares to meet Esau, fear grips him, but God meets him again, this time through angels, and then in a wrestling match. Jacob refuses to let go until he's blessed and receives a new name, Israel. When Jacob finally meets Esau, the feared enemy becomes a forgiving brother. What Jacob expected to be war, God turned into peace. Key takeaways: God protects even when we're not perfect. Obedience sometimes means walking away and facing confrontation. There's healing in letting go and peace in separation. Before every battle, God surrounds you with angels. Real prayer is humble, honest, and rooted in God's promises. Your new name may come through wrestling, but it will mark your future. God is already working in the hearts of those you fear. Trust Him to go before you. This section reminds us that God transforms us through struggle, protects us in confrontation, and redeems even the most damaged relationships. When we walk in His will, even when afraid, He shows up with grace, angels, and a brand new name. Thank you for spending time with us in this extraordinary part of Jacob's journey, a story of escape, confrontation, transformation, and forgiveness. We witnessed how God intervenes in conflict, wrestles with us in our darkest hours, and restores what once seemed broken beyond repair. Jacob left with fear in his heart, but returned with a limp and a new name, Israel. If this message touched your heart, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more deep Bible studies, heartfelt prayers, and faith-filled encouragement. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss the next chapter in our journey through God's Word. And if you're walking through something difficult, if you're facing confrontation, seeking peace, or waiting for healing, we would love to pray for you. Leave us a comment or send us a message. We're here and we care. All Bible verses used in this video are quoted from the King James Version, KJV, which is in the public domain and freely available for use. Our commentary, explanations, and additional content provided are original and intended for educational, inspirational, and devotional purposes. Please note, all interpretations, explanations, and commentary reflect exclusively our channel's perspective. You may wrestle, but God will not let go. And when the night ends, you'll rise with a new identity and a story that brings Him glory. Today's reading takes us into the next phase of Jacob's journey, where settling down brings both peace and pain. We'll read from Genesis 33 minutes and 18 seconds to 35 minutes and 15 seconds, where Jacob builds an altar, faces a family crisis through the tragedy of Dinah, and ultimately returns to Bethel, the place where God first met him. There, God appears again and reaffirms the covenant, reminding Jacob of his new name, Israel. These verses are about worship, justice, restoration, and returning to God even after pain and failure. Let's read together from the King James Version, KJV. Genesis 33 minutes and 18 seconds to 35 minutes and 15 seconds, IJV. And Jacob came to Shalem, a city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Paddan Aram, and pitched his tent before the city. And he bought a parcel of a field where he had spread his tent at the hand of the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. And he erected there an altar and called it Elalo Israel. And Dinah the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem the son of Hamor the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her, and lay with her, and defiled her. And his soul clave unto Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the damsel, and spake kindly unto the damsel. And Shechem spake unto his father Hamor, saying, Get me this damsel to wife. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter. Now his sons were with his cattle in the field. And Jacob held his peace until they were come. And Hamor the father of Shechem went out unto Jacob to commune with him. And the sons of Jacob came out of the field when they heard it. And the men were grieved, and they were very wroth, because he had wrought folly in Israel in lying with Jacob's daughter, which thing ought not to be done. And Hamor communed with them, saying, The soul of my son Shechem longeth for your daughter. I pray you give her him to wife. And make the marriages with us, and give your daughters unto us, and take our daughters unto you. And they shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell and trade therein, and get you possessions therein. And Shechem said unto her father, and unto her brethren, Let me find grace in your eyes, and what thou shalt say unto me, I will give. Ask me never so much dowry and gift, and I will give according as thou shalt say unto me. But give me the damsel to wife. And the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father deceitfully, and said, Because he had defiled Dinah their sister. And they said unto them, We cannot do this thing, to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised, for that were a reproach unto us. But in this will we consent unto you, if you will be as we be, that every male of you be circumcised. Then will we give our daughters unto you, and we will take your daughters to us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people. But if you will not hearken unto us to be circumcised, then will we take our daughter, and we will be gone. And their words pleased Hamor, and Shechem Hamor's son. And the young man deferred not to do the thing, because he had delight in Jacob's daughter. And he was more honorable than all the house of his father. And Hamor and Shechem his son came unto the gate of their city, and communed with the men of their city, saying, These men are peaceable with us. Therefore let them dwell in the land, and trade therein. For the land, behold, it is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters to us for wives, and let us give them. Only herein will the men consent unto us for to dwell with us, to be one people, if every male among us be circumcised, as they are circumcised. Shall not their cattle and their substance and every beast of theirs be ours? Only let us consent unto them, and they will dwell with us. And unto Hamor and unto Shechem his son hearkened all that went out of the gate of his city. And every male was circumcised, all that went out of the gate of his city. And it came to pass on the third day, when they were sore, that two of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brethren, took each man his sword, and came upon the city boldly, and slew all the males. And they slew Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house, and went out. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain, and spoiled the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their sheep, and their oxen, and their asses, and that which was in the city, and that which was in the field, and all their wealth, and all their little ones, and their wives took they captive, and spoiled even all that was in the house. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, They have troubled me to make me to stink among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites. And I being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me, and slay me, and I shall be destroyed, I and my house. And they said, Should he deal with our sister as with an harlot? And God said unto Jacob, Arise, go up to Bethel, and dwell there, and make there an altar unto God, that appeared unto thee when thou fleddest from the face of Esau thy brother. Then Jacob said unto his household, and to all that were with him, Put away the strange gods that are among you, and be clean, and change your garments. And let us arise, and go up to Bethel, and I will make there an altar unto God, who answered me in the day of my distress, and was with me in the way. And they gave unto Jacob all the strange gods which were in their hand, and all their earrings which were in their ears. And Jacob hid them under the oak which was by Shechem. And they journeyed, and the terror of God was upon the cities that were round about them, and they did not pursue after the sons of Jacob. So Jacob came to Luz, which is in the land of Canaan, that is Bethel, he and all the people that were with him. And he built there an altar, and called the place El-Bethel, because their God appeared unto him when he fled from the face of his brother. But Deborah Rebekah's nurse died, and she was buried beneath Bethel under an oak, and the name of it was called Allon-Bachuth. And God appeared unto Jacob again when he came out of Paddan Aram, and blessed him. And God said unto him, Thy name is Jacob. Thy name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name. And he called his name Israel. And God said unto him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of thee, and kings shall come out of thy loins. And the land which I gave Abraham and Isaac, to thee I will give it, and to thy seed after thee will I. And God went up from him in the place where he talked with him. Let's explore Genesis 33 to 80 to 35 minutes and 15 seconds in full depth, breaking down its meaning and messages layer by layer. 1. Jacob settles and builds an altar. Genesis 33 to 18:20. Jacob returns from his long journey and settles near Shechem. He buys land and builds an altar, naming it El Elohe Israel, which means God, the God of Israel. Spiritual insight. For the first time, Jacob calls God his God, not just the God of Abraham or Isaac. He is owning his faith. Life application. There comes a moment when your faith must become personal. Not inherited, not borrowed, but yours. 2. The tragedy of Dinah and the revenge of her brothers. Genesis 34 to 1 to 31. Dinah, Jacob's daughter by Leah, goes out to visit the women of the land. She is violated by Shechem, the local prince. He claims to love her and wants to marry her, but the damage is done. Jacob remains silent at first, waiting for his sons. When they hear, Simeon and Levi respond with fury. Shechem and his father offer marriage and propose to unite their peoples with Jacob's family. Jacob's sons deceive them, requiring every male to be circumcised. On the third day, while the men are in pain, Simeon and Levi attack and kill every male in the city. They take Dinah back and plunder everything. Jacob is horrified, not because of the justice, but because of the reputation and danger it brings. He fears retaliation. Spiritual insight. This is one of the darkest events in Jacob's family. There is no clear hero, only a reminder that violence begets violence, and revenge brings consequences. Life application. Injustice hurts deeply, and anger is natural, but unchecked anger leads to sin. God's justice is perfect. Ours is not. 3. God calls Jacob back to Bethel. Genesis 35 to 1 to 5. After this chaos, God speaks, Go up to Bethel and build an altar. It's a call to return to the place where God first met Jacob in his time of fear and running. Jacob responds by purifying his household. He tells them to give up all foreign gods, to wash and change clothes, an act of spiritual renewal. They bury the idols under a tree, a powerful symbol of leaving behind old ways. As they travel, the fear of God falls on nearby cities, and no one dares attack them. Spiritual insight. Jacob doesn't fix the past by force, he responds in obedience. And God provides protection, even without Jacob asking. Life application. After failure or pain, God doesn't abandon you. He calls you back to where you first found him. That's where healing begins. 4. Jacob builds an altar at Bethel. Genesis 35, 6-8. Jacob arrives in Bethel and builds an altar, calling the place El Bethel, the God of the house of God. Worship becomes central again. Jacob is returning to the heart of his calling, not just physically, but spiritually. Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, dies here, a note that marks transition. The old generation is fading. The promise is now Jacob's to carry. 5. God appears again and reaffirms the covenant. Genesis 35, 9-15. God appears once more and repeats the name change. Your name is no longer Jacob, but Israel. He reaffirms the same covenant he made to Abraham and Isaac. Be fruitful and multiply. Nations and kings will come from you. The land is yours and your descendants. Jacob sets up a pillar, pours a drink offering, and anoints it with oil. This is sacred territory. Spiritual insight. God reminds Jacob of who he really is, not a deceiver, but a man with purpose. The reaffirmation comes after pain, not perfection. Life application. Sometimes we forget our identity in God after trauma, but he never forgets. He repeats the promise, even when we fail. Key lessons. God wants your faith to be personal and public. Even in tragedy, he offers a way back to himself. Unchecked anger, even with cause, can lead to great destruction. Obedience after failure opens the door for healing and protection. God doesn't replace his promises, he reaffirms them. You are not who your past says you are. You are who God says you are, chosen, renamed, and restored. This passage shows us that God's promises are stronger than our chaos. Even after heartbreak, deception, and fear, he calls us to return to worship, to remember, and to walk forward again with him. Thank you for joining us in this powerful and emotional part of Jacob's story. We've witnessed both heartbreak and holiness, the tragedy of Dinah, the anger of her brothers, and the consequences that followed. Yet, even in the aftermath, God's voice breaks through, calling Jacob back to Bethel, to remembrance, to worship, and to the promise. And there, in that sacred place, God reaffirms what he already declared. You are no longer Jacob, you are Israel. This moment reminds us that no matter how broken the journey has been, God is still writing your story. If this message spoke to you, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more deep Bible studies, weekly prayer videos, and uplifting spiritual content that brings you closer to the heart of God. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a word of encouragement. If you're going through a season of chaos or pain and you need prayer, leave us a comment or send us a message. We would be honored to pray for you and your family. All Bible verses used in this video are quoted from the King James Version KJV, which is in the public domain and freely available for use. Our commentary, explanations, and additional content provided are original and intended for educational, inspirational, and devotional purposes. Please note, all interpretations, explanations, and commentary reflect exclusively our channel's perspective. You can always return to Bethel, to the God who met you there the first time and who's still waiting to meet you again. Today's verses reveal a season of love, labor, and unexpected disappointment in Jacob's life. We'll be reading from Genesis 29 minutes and 18 seconds to 30 minutes and 24 seconds, where Jacob agrees to work 7 years for Rachel's hand in marriage, only to be deceived into marrying her sister Leah. What follows is a story of waiting, striving, heartbreak, rivalry, and the beginning of the 12 tribes of Israel. This passage is a powerful reminder that even in messy, complicated seasons, God is still fulfilling his promises. Let's read together from the King James Version, KJV. Genesis 29 minutes and 18 seconds, 30 minutes and 24 seconds, KJV. And Jacob loved Rachel, and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel thy younger daughter. And Laban said, It is better that I give her to thee, than that I should give her to another man. Abide with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days, for the love he had to her. And Jacob said unto Laban, Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place, and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening, that he took Leah his daughter, and brought her to him, and he went in unto her. And Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah, his maid, for an handmaid. And it came to pass, that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, What is this thou hast done unto me? Did not I serve with thee for Rachel? Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me? And Laban said, It must not be so done in our country, to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. And Jacob did so, and fulfilled her week. And he gave him Rachel his daughter to wife also. And Laban gave to Rachel his daughter Bilhah, his handmaid, to be her maid. And he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with him yet 7 other years. And when the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. And Leah conceived, and bare a son, and she called his name Reuben. For she said, Surely the Lord hath looked upon my affliction. Now therefore my husband will love me. And she conceived again, and bare a son, and said, Because the Lord hath heard that I was hated, he hath therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Simeon. And she conceived again, and bare a son, and said, Now this time will my husband be joined unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore was his name called Levi. And she conceived again, and bare a son. And she said, Now will I praise the Lord. Therefore she called his name Judah, and left bearing. And when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister, and said unto Jacob, Give me children, or else I die. And Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel. And he said, Am I in God's stead, who hath withheld from thee the fruit of the womb? And she said, Behold my maid Bilhah, go in unto her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. And she gave him Bilhah her handmaid to wife, and Jacob went in unto her. And Bilhah conceived, and bare Jacob a son. And Rachel said, God hath judged me, and hath also heard my voice, and hath given me a son. Therefore called she his name Dan. And Bilhah Rachel's maid conceived again, and bare Jacob a 2nd son. And Rachel said, With great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed. And she called his name Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had left bearing, she took Zilpah her maid, and gave her Jacob to wife. And Zilpah Leah's maid bare Jacob a son. And Leah said, A troop cometh, and she called his name Gad. And Zilpah Leah's maid bare Jacob a 2nd son. And Leah said, Happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed. And she called his name Asher. And Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest, and found mandrakes in the field, and brought them unto his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, Give me, I pray thee, of thy son's mandrakes. And she said unto her, Is it a small matter that thou hast taken my husband? And wouldest thou take away my son's mandrakes also? And Rachel said, Therefore he shall lie with thee tonight for thy son's mandrakes. And Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him, and said, Thou must come in unto me, for surely I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes. And he lay with her that night. And God hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived, and bare Jacob the fifth son. And Leah said, God hath given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my husband. And she called his name Issachar. And Leah conceived again, and bare Jacob the sixth son. And Leah said, God hath endued me with a good dowry. Now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. And she called his name Zebulun. And afterwards she bare a daughter, and called her name Dinah. And God remembered Rachel, and God hearkened her, and opened her womb. And she conceived, and bare a son, and said, God hath taken away my reproach. And she called his name Joseph, and said, The Lord shall add to me another son. This portion of Scripture is filled with love, betrayal, longing, rivalry, and divine compassion. It reads like a complex family drama, and yet it's here, in this tangled web of human emotion and imperfection, that God begins building the future of an entire nation. It shows us that He works not just through our victories, but through our disappointments too. Let's unpack the deeper meaning of Genesis 29 to 18 to 30 minutes and 24 seconds. 1. Jacob works 7 years for Rachel and gets Leah. Genesis 29 to 18:25. Jacob is deeply in love with Rachel. He willingly agrees to work 7 years to marry her, and those years feel like only a few days because of how much he loves her. But then comes the devastating twist. Laban deceives him, giving him Leah instead. Why this matters? The deceiver, Jacob, is now deceived. Just as he tricked his father in the dark, he's tricked by Laban under cover of night. Life application. What we sow, we often reap. But even when we're wronged, God can use disappointment to shape destiny. Leah, not Rachel, would bear the line of Judah through whom Jesus would come. 2. Jacob works another 7 years for Rachel. Genesis 29 to 26:30. Laban justifies his trickery by blaming local custom. He offers Rachel as well, but demands 7 more years of labor. Jacob agrees. Love stays the course. Even though he's been hurt, Jacob doesn't abandon the commitment. He works another 7 years, enduring hardship for the one he loves. Life application. Real love doesn't quit. Sometimes God's promises involve long seasons of waiting and sacrifice. 3. Leah's pain and God's compassion. Genesis 29 to 31 to 35. Leah knows she's unloved, but God sees her pain and blesses her with children, while Rachel remains barren. Each name she gives her sons tells a story. Reuben, now my husband will love me. Simeon, God has heard I am hated. Levi, now he will be joined to me. Judah, now I will praise the Lord. Spiritual growth. By her 4th son, Leah stops trying to earn love and starts simply praising God. Life application. You may not be chosen by people, but you are always seen by God. He responds to affliction with mercy, and He can turn sorrow into praise. 4. Rachel's envy and Bilhah's children. Genesis 30 to 1 to 8. Rachel, in deep frustration, says to Jacob, "Give me children or I die." Jacob reminds her that life comes from God, not man. She gives her maid Bilhah to Jacob as a surrogate, and 2 more sons are born, Dan and Naphtali. Rachel feels she's prevailed over her sister, but the rivalry continues. Life application. Competing for validation is exhausting. True identity and worth don't come from what others have, but from knowing God's timing is perfect. 5. Leah responds with Zilpah. Genesis 30 to 9 to 13. Leah, not to be outdone, gives Jacob her maid Zilpah. 2 more sons come, Gad and Asher. Now Leah says, "Happy am I, but still longs for love." Life application. We often try to fill emotional gaps with accomplishments or people, but only God satisfies the heart. 6. The mandrakes and more children. Genesis 30 to 14:21. In a curious episode, Rachel trades a night with Jacob in exchange for Leah's sons mandrakes, believed to enhance fertility. Leah conceives again and again. She bears Issachar, Zebulun, and a daughter, Dinah. Why this is important? Even amid jealousy and bargaining, God hears and blesses. Leah, though still unloved by Jacob, becomes a mother to 6 of the 12 tribes. Life application. God works through even the strangest, most dysfunctional parts of our story. Grace shows up in the chaos. 7. God remembers Rachel. Genesis 30 to 22:24. Finally, God remembers Rachel. He hears her and opens her womb. She bears a son Joseph and says, "God has taken away my reproach." Rachel waited for years, but God's answer was worth it. Joseph would become the key figure in Egypt's rise and Israel's survival. Life application. Delays are not denials. When God remembers you, it's not because he forgot, it's because he was preparing something greater. Key spiritual takeaways. Even when we're deceived, God is still at work. Being unloved by people doesn't mean you're unseen by God. Praise often begins when we stop striving and start surrendering. Fertility, blessings, and timing belong to God, not man. Grace can flow through rivalry, heartbreak, and waiting. God remembers you, even if the world forgets. This part of Genesis teaches us that God doesn't need perfect people to build his perfect plan, just surrendered ones. Even in heartbreak, he's planting the seeds of something beautiful. Thank you for reading with us today through this deeply emotional and powerful part of Genesis. From Jacob's heartache and endurance to Leah's quiet suffering and Rachel's long-awaited joy, we see that God is always near even in the confusion, rivalry, and waiting. Through it all, he was forming the 12 tribes of Israel. His plan never stopped even when the people didn't understand it. If this message moved you, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more deep Bible studies, weekly prayers, and encouraging messages to strengthen your walk with God. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a moment of what God is revealing through his word. If you're in a season of waiting or difficulty and you need prayer, we would love to stand with you. Leave us a comment or send us a message. You're not alone. We're here to pray for you and your family. All Bible verses used in this video are quoted from the King James Version, KJV, which is in the public domain and freely available for use. Our commentary, explanations, and additional content provided are original and intended for educational, inspirational, and devotional purposes. Please note, all interpretations, explanations, and commentary reflect exclusively our channel's perspective. You may feel overlooked today, but God sees you. He remembers your tears, hears your prayers, and is writing something beautiful from your story.